2 days before Christmas, Sunday, December 23rd, 2017. I understand why the men might need a wedding rehearsal. Heaven help us, every ceremony we've ever attended ends up being an obstacle that has to be hurdled before the more exciting party can take place. Even if the pomp and circumstance of the march and vows get to the men a little, we're sure to have pushed it to the back of our minds in favor of the more noteworthy wedding album moments yet to come. Our interest lies with the garter toss, upstaging our jackass friends during the dollar dance, and egging on the groom until he works up the nerve to smash overpriced cake into his bride's perfectly manicured face. What I don't understand is how women, who, according to all the surveys, start planning their big day about the time they begin shedding the lining of their uterine walls, can act stymied by the simplest of traditions. The worst offender is Jen's maid of honor, Marilyn. A holdover from Tom's goth days, Marilyn still has her hair dyed a punk rock purple and wears corsets and fishnets. Honestly, when I first met her, I was relieved there might be someone else around who shares my dark sense of humor and values back-of-the-classroom antics. I thought we might enjoy watching the bedlam unfold together, keeping each other sane with jaded cynicism. Whew, I was wrong. "How am I supposed to walk down the aisle?" Marilyn asks, after already saying she's been in 3 wedding parties this year alone. "Is it step together, or—" "Yes," I answer. "It's or." Amaya notices the way Marilyn is glaring at me and pushes me like a tugboat to safer waters. She calls to Noah, who bounces energetically to us. My wife licks her thumb and rubs a chocolate streak off his face. Since he's the only kid here, he's been working Aunt Ilabelle for all the candy in her purse. "Don't start," Amaya says at a volume only I'm supposed to hear. "Smile." Huffing and looking for a metaphorical corkboard to pin my mood to, I say, "These women are driving me nuts. And Jen, what she decided to spring on me at the last minute? It's just a lot for me to process." Amaya tweaks my nose. "Who better than you, Paul?" "I just don't want to do it. She would never have to ask me if we didn't have such a shitty father. Do you think I should call him and try to guilt him into it?" Amaya looks at me sternly. "Are you suggesting your sister should let that man set her up for disappointment the way he did you on our wedding day?" She gives me space for me to think of my best rhetorical answer before continuing. "You should be honored Jen asked you to walk her down the aisle. You're her big brother, Paul. You mean a lot to her." It's strange. With everything else going on right now, I had no idea how profoundly Jen's request is affecting me. I was already so covered in wounds, I hadn't noticed the gash in my chest that I suppose has always been there. "Are you okay, Daddy?" Noah's tiny hand curls around my index finger. "Oh, yeah, I'm fine, buddy. Just thinking about stuff." "Like what?" He begins to apply pressure to my finger. The honest nature of children can be a buzzkill for their parents' deceptions. Most of the time, Noah's mind is in some fantasy land or video game, but when something big happens, he's suddenly responding to every subtle cue, as though he's building off the experience of living 1,000 lifetimes. Take, for example, the first time his mother and I had a trial separation. He wasn't quite 3 at the time. We told him Mommy and he were staying with Lola and Grandpa for a little while so Daddy could get some work done around the house. He didn't let on, but I don't think he bought any of it. His mother and I had been up half the night fighting, and we'd spent the whole morning finding passive-aggressive ways to piss each other off. Noah didn't react to the instability in his home with tears or screams for attention. Instead, he got real quiet, and as I buckled him into his car seat, he sat stoically, giving me side-eye. Amaya got in the car, and he said, "Drive, Mommy." I swear it wasn't my imagination. What that kid left unsaid in that moment was plain in the way he spoke, like, "This shit's got nothing to do with me." It's humbling when your toddler is capable of being a bigger man than you are. I know I'm running out of time before Amaya sees through my charade. I hadn't really considered how quickly my 7-year-old would be on to me. They both have the tools to mine through my mountain of bullshit. Noah surprises me when he presses his cheek against my arm. I know I'd be sad if you didn't come to my wedding, Daddy. And then he lets my hand slip from his grip. Jen is approaching, and Noah loves his auntie. He runs to her, giving her an enormous hug. Are you excited? He asks. I am, she says, combing her fingers through her nephew's hair. Are you? I'm not the one getting married. But you're in the wedding, silly. You've got the most important job. You have to keep the ring safe. Noah bounces backward and strikes a pose inspired by his cartoons. If someone tries to steal them, I'll see how they like knuckle sandwiches. He throws a few punches and kicks at the space in front of him, and Jen groans and grunts at his imaginary blows. After Noah's karate demonstration, my sister bats her eyes and lauds him with an exaggerated, "My hero." Amaya and Jen embrace like sisters, and then Jen moves in to give me a hug. Speaking of my hero, she says. I feign a smile. Easy on the hero talk. Come on, be straight with me, Paul. Do you have a problem with walking me down the aisle? Looks like my wife and son aren't the only ones seeing right through me. I'm just tired, I lie. But you're okay with it, right? I shrug. Maybe there's a way for me to respectfully bow out. Did you ask Dad? Oh, come on. You've been more of a father to me than Daryl, and you know it. I pause before offering another suggestion. Have you thought about having Tom's father do it? I don't want Bill. I want you. Without meeting her eye, I nod mutely and watch as Amaya and Noah busy themselves, helping my mother set up decorations for the ceremony. Jen sighs. Do you remember when we used to go on adventures out in the neighborhood? Sure. We would all get on our bikes and ride as far as we could out into the woods. We'd have toy swords and guns and canteens and pretend old Mr. Green lived deep in the forest, and if he found us, he'd skin us alive and eat us. And we'd go out looking for his house like a pack of idiots, I say, the memory coming back. Do you remember the day I got lost in the woods? I shake my head. I wandered around for hours, terrified old Mr. Green was going to get me and skin me alive. As much as I pretended my sword was sharp or my gun could shoot real bullets, I just wanted you and Chris to come back and keep me safe. She looks me in the face. But you never did. I had to find my own way home that day. I tell her, I'm sorry. Why didn't you come back? I shrug. I don't know. I was a kid. To the funeral, Paul. Why didn't you come back for Chris's funeral? Her voice cracks as she wraps her arms around me. It hurt because I didn't feel like I had anybody who understood what I was going through. You had Mom and Tom. I needed a brother, Paul. I needed my big brother. Since we were little, it was always you and me and Chris. No matter what storm rocked us, you were our anchor. And then suddenly I was alone. Chris could never come home again. And you... She pauses a moment to gather her composure. I can't pretend I know what you've been through. I can't lie to you and say it doesn't matter, because of course it does. But Dad's not here to walk me down the aisle. And even if he were, I need you. You're the only person that can do this for me. She squeezes me tightly and whispers 3 pleading words. Please come home. Even though I still don't want to do it, I'm out of weapons to fight her with, so I nod and pat her reassuringly on the back. Okay, Jen, if it's that important to you. Are you sure? She asks, watching me carefully. Speak now or forever hold your peace. All right, I'll do it. She presses her face into my chest. You really are my hero, bro. Jen doesn't hug a hero. The real hero died in Iraq, and she's stuck with me.